almost time. We're almost there. Hello, I am Jules Thought. Good to see you again. And today is what? It is hump day. Whoop, 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 woo. Yes. How many more days till Friday? 2. So we're almost there. So today is August the 3rd. I swear it just seemed like July the 4th was here. I don't know what's happening. Just seems like time is speeding up, the sun is going crazy, and the world has lost control. Now then, this is not going to be a very long video, but I do have another video I'll come back for. But I did want to get this one done. My life has been really complicated just in the last couple of weeks. And so it's been a juggling act to try to keep up with my whole YouTube channel, responsibilities, and videos. And so things are slowing down. I'm very happy about that. So things are slowing down. I'm kind of doubling back and picking up things that I missed and then where I want to go forward. So I think we had the apology video was what, 4 or 5 days ago, perhaps. And I didn't, get a chance to work on that. So I want to go ahead and do my reaction to the video. Let's see. I'll say hello to everybody. Teresa Walton, welcome. It's good to have you. Hey, Kathy R. and Singing Piranha. You're number 1 today. Good for you. Okay, Sundown Farms, welcome. Moonbeam Muse. I love your name. Welcome. And Charlie Faith, of course. Charlie Faith is loyal. There's no doubt about that. So, very good to see you. I'm a little surprised that there was not more attention, I suppose, given to this Will Smith video. We're in an upside down world right now. And, I spend a lot of time each and every day of my life. I spend a lot of time working with people to get to a place where they can have empathy and feel take responsibility, feel remorseful, make steps to amend the damage that they may have caused another person in the middle of their own breakdown. And how do you do that? How do you take responsibility, and how do you take responsibility for your own behavior, make amends for the people that were hurt, and then stay healthy for yourself? Because it is only through our own self-love and strength and value and love for life, it's only through those glasses that you can build yourself into someone that you're proud to know, right? We give a lot of time and attention to this idea of building relationships with people that we're a good fit for and that will make us want to be the best version of ourselves. But when the end of the day comes, it's just you and yourself. And you got to ask yourself, am I proud of who I am? Am I happy to know me? Would I gladly take me as a second human being to visit the people that matter to me in my life? Would I take me as a human being to the people that matter? Am I being a great reflection externally for who I am trying to become or am internally? And it is a balancing act. And I think we're in this weird cultural place too, that everybody wants to be a victim, which is weird, right? you somehow we have built up individuals to believe that being being identified as victim is sort of this place of honor. And I'm not sure that that is healthy. I don't think we want people to have a identity, a personal identity that would include I'm a victim, right? I mean, how many years did we spend talking about, no, you're not a victim of someone's crime, you're a survivor of someone's crime, or you're a survivor of other people's bad behavior. So we really we would like to avoid this identity of victim simply because of what that messaging is. On the other hand, we've gotten very confused about what a sense of responsibility actually means. And so it's a fine balancing act between knowing who you are, taking responsibility for the choices that you make, and holding yourself accountable for the pain and the difficulty that you may cause for others, right? Hopefully in a normal world, we're not making choices that are going to result in the victimhood of another person. Hopefully, anytime your actions may hurt or harm another person, hopefully that it's a mistake. It's an accident, that this other person was hurt. But if in the end your actions, whether you do something with full intent or you sort of get built up to this place and you just kind of explode because you've had enough, basically you have an adult temper tantrum, either condition, you still are in a position to take accountability for the way that your actions or inaction may have caused harm in other people. But we're in this strange kind of alternate universe now where people seem to not enjoy, that's not the word I want to use. People seem to embrace the role of victim. They want to own it and say, I'm a victim and these are the things that affect me because of my victimhood, as if that is a good identity, as compared to a person who's willing to stand up and say, well, no, I'm not a victim. I am working toward goals and dreams, and I am trying my best to be the best version of myself that I can be. I'm also proud of who I am. I would like to instill in my children self-esteem, a positive personal identity, and I would like for my kids to feel, experience, and know what it's like to set a goal and be successful in achieving that goal. We've entered this weird place where somehow achievement is a bad thing. Somehow dream fulfillment is looked down upon, that you're supposed to be ashamed because you accomplished your goals and your dreams. It's a kind of a weird place that we're going, and I'm not really sure where it's coming from. I'm not sure how we got here. But I listened to Will Smith's apology video, and there were some things that really stood out to me. And then there were some things that he said that I really, really liked. And I think the video is heavily edited. I think it's too edited. I have zero doubt that they cut out a great deal of the video, and I would really be curious why. So, Will Smith, if you or your people stumble upon this video, why'd you cut out the first part of your video? What did you say in the beginning that for some reason you later decided you wanted to pull back? Were you afraid to move away from your sorrowful, remorseful position? Were you afraid that you were showing yourself to be overly forgiving of oneself? Or were you afraid that you would come off appearing as a strong person with a good sense of identity? Because if that's the reason you did that, put the full video back up unedited. Our people in this world, we need to be proud of ourselves. We need to learn how to be accountable for our mistakes, make amends for our mistakes, but don't sit around and beat yourself up. Don't sit around and beat yourself up and call yourself ugly names and say you're a horrible, evil human being because you said or did something that might have hurt somebody's feelings. Don't do that. Don't beat yourself down. Lord knows the world's got enough negative out there to beat you up with. People that are healthy tend to be good people. People that are hurt and weak and damaged, they tend to hurt other people. So do you want to be the kind of person that's helpful and does good things for others? Then be proud of yourself. Make amends when you do wrong. Certainly acknowledge when you've harmed someone. Go out of your way, move mountains to avoid hurting another person. But don't carry that victim burden on your back, because all that's going to do, it's going to take a good human being out of commission, and we need more good people in the world. Okay? All right. Enough of my lecturing. I don't need to do that. You guys are awesome without me saying a word, right? Okay, so here we go with Will Smith's apology video. Oh, I got to have my earphones on too.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out.
Now, Chris Rock has made it clear that he is angry and he is holding a grudge. I'm not being judgmental. I think if somebody hit me in the head, whether there were cameras watching or not, I don't think I would be quite ready to forgive and forget. The important part of this, though, is that this was not the first encounter that Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, his wife, and Chris Rock had together. There was already some hurt feelings. Chris Rock has taken more than one opportunity to sort of, throw shade at Jada Pinkett Smith. In the past, there have been multiple episodes that have played out. So I've talked about it before, like with anxiety, that if, one episode that creates frustration, that's one wet blanket. But if you just keep getting, multiple hits and it's just one wet blanket on top of another wet blanket, eventually you're, suffocating under all that weight, and you just kind of throw your hands up in the air and say, I've had enough. You try to shake off all of that frustration. Sometimes I wonder if when Chris Rock said that about the whole G.I. Jane thing, was that more that Will Smith was just, that was the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back? was at his moment of just, okay, you've made fun of my wife before, you've made fun of me before, we've always laughed it off, I'm done, no more. Is that what happened? Maybe. I'm just full disclosure here. I'm more likely, I'm more inclined to believe that his wife had publicly humiliated and shamed him many times. In fact, the shenanigans of Jada Pinkett Smith on her round red table, she had dished out more shame and humiliation to Will Smith as just a man, as a male creature, than Chris Rock ever did. So I don't really agree with this position that he and Chris Rock had already had, you know, problems in the past. I think this was something else. I think that Will Smith has a whole lot of wet blankets on top of him, and maybe some of them were from Chris Rock, but I think there were an awful lot that were from his wife. I think there were an awful lot that came from his children. I think there were an awful lot that came from news journalists, that paparazzi journalist type of hit pieces, you know. And I also sort of think he may have been drinking a little bit. Denzel Washington sort of alluded to that just a bit. And one thing that I think is very important to remember is that he had also just completed this role as King Richard, a man who is known for having had, you know, intermittent explosive anger disorder. He was a man that ruled with an iron fist, and he didn't have a lot of empathy for his two girls. And so Will Smith had been playing this role for which he received, you know, the Oscar. And he alludes to King Richard and this idea of being a fierce protector, as the man, head of the family, being a fierce protector of your family members and whatnot. And some of me, you know, they said that's what happened with Heath Ledger, that Heath Ledger gave that legendary performance as Joker for Batman, and that when it all came to an end and they were trying to film the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, that he couldn't snap out of the role of Joker, that he had been living the role of Joker 2 years before they ever started filming, that he had gone to great lengths to develop this full backstory for the Joker character that he was playing, and that his friends were a little bit weirded out by how easily the Joker was right at the surface all the time, and they were deeply concerned about Ledger. And he actually was flying from 3 continents, England and Australia and the United States, that he was flying from 3 continents during this period of time between finishing up Joker, trying to spend time at home with his wife and kid, and then the Dr. Parnassus movie filming. And that he just got, his body was so confused, couldn't sleep. He had gone to great lengths to sleep, and he was using, you know, drugs to try to fall asleep. And he actually had used multiple drugs, prescription drugs, not of addictive quality, and that those were not helping him sleep. And he had begun to add addictive type drugs like opiates and whatnot. And that he had begun to add that in an effort to try to sleep. So these guys that do this type of acting where they become the character, like Johnny Depp is Captain Jack to the point that he named his child Jack, and he's got, you know, tattoos of Captain Jack. These guys that get into character so deeply that they're living that character, the rewards may pay off dramatically in the role in the movie, but at what cost are they losing a critical element of self? At what part do they immerse themselves in these roles, and then their own personal image has to adjust to accommodate that living a couple of years as a different creature. I've said before in my channel that we do the things we do because we learned to do it. We learned somewhere in our past, our history, to do it, and it worked. It was effective for that moment in time. And so, we're more likely to repeat it if we did it. So when you start messing with your real identity by playing these intense roles and living the character, we wonder how much can sort of leak out into our day-to-day life. And when I look at Will Smith and what he did with Chris Watts going up on the stage and punching, Chris Rock, or slapping him, we had an Amber Heard moment, slapping Chris Rock in the head. That was something that would have been really, really characteristic of Richard, right? Would have been completely unexpected, but it was so far outside of character for Will Smith. And that's one of the reasons why people were so dramatically taken off guard, because it just wasn't him. But you consider the role that he had been playing was exactly what Richard would have done. No doubt about it. So I wonder, as I go through and I listen to this video, I wonder how much of his identity, as he is on this quest for remorse, for personal forgiveness, identity, I wonder how much of it is being guided by, what the hell, Will? Like, what'd you do, man? This is not your thing to go up on a stage and punch somebody in the head. I don't care who they are. I mean, he has been willingly sitting at the red table while Jada Pinkett Smith humiliated him in the worst possible way multiple times. His children have really felt the effects of Jada and some of her strange ideas. So this is actually a really complicated video when you listen to it. It's not really as simple as a lot of people are trying to make it. His apology.
So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
Now, I did hear somebody say, I don't remember who it was. I did hear somebody say, well, if Will Smith knows that Chris Rock is not ready to talk, he's not ready to accept an apology, then why did Will Smith make this video? I thought that was a bit short-sighted. I think Will Smith made this video for anyone that was offended or harmed by what he did, including Will Smith. I think Will Smith, so he showed up shortly after the Oscars, after the slap heard around the world. He showed up in India out of the blue. And he's said to have been there for past 3 months. I would guess that he's probably talking to his spiritual, leader. But I do think he's been kind of on this soul searching mission. He doesn't seem to be actually with Jada Pinkett Smith right now. And, Will, you might really ask yourself if she might be a bit toxic for you. And maybe you would be happier and healthier avoiding being in the home with her again. Just saying.
I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I saw an interview that Chris's mother did, and that was one of the things about that moment. I just didn't realize, and I wasn't thinking, but how many people got hurt in that moment. So I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I want to apologize to Chris's family, specifically Tony Rock. We had a great relationship. Tony Rock was my man. And this is probably irreparable.
Hopefully not.
I spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. And I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now, but I can say to all of you, there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment. There's no part of me that thinks that's the optimal way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults.
So right there, he's telling you he felt disrespected and insulted, right? Now, my question to him would be this: if what Chris Rock said about making a joke about, G.I. Jane, he responded like that to a simple joke that really wasn't a dagger, right? But he sat at the table with Jada Pinkett Smith and allowed her to essentially tell people that he was boring in bed, that he could not give her happiness, that she was bored with him, that she thought that he was weak, and that she took her son's friend and had a full-blown sexual affair with her son's friend. And all of that was done because she was so weary of not feeling good. And it wasn't Will's place to make her feel good, that he couldn't make her feel good, that no matter how hard he tried, he would never be able to make her feel good. And he sat at a table with a camera in his face, picking up the tears that came rolling down his face. He sat and listened to that with barely a pushback. He tried a bit, just a tiny bit. My question to Smith right here at this moment in this apology video, that and I believe him, I don't think for a minute that he thought that hitting Chris Rock was the way to go. Feeling betrayed and embarrassed and insulted. I don't think he believed that at all. And yet he sat in front of his wife, who delivered the most horrific level of disrespect and humiliation. And he did nothing but sort of smile a little bit. He cried a bit, and he sat obediently and allowed her to just crush him. I'm wondering if this is a man who has been gaslighted to kingdom come and back. I'm wondering if this is someone who, every time he's tried to put his view of a situation out there and say, I don't like when you do this because it takes away this, or it takes away this, or it hurts this, or it hurts that. And he's met with, oh my God, are you crazy? What are you talking about? I didn't do that to you. It's normal for people to fight. Remember Amber Heard with Johnny? It's normal for people to fight. There's something wrong with you, Johnny, because you won't fight. Oh, okay, you're not punched. Okay, maybe I didn't have my hand open in a proper, slap, but you're not punched. Grow up. I'm wondering how much of that Amber Heard type of verbal assault that Will Smith has lived with, that would have put him in a place where, identity-wise, where he would be willing to sit at a table and be emasculated and directly insulted and shamed by the one person on this planet that vowed to protect him and treat him with love and consideration. That one person that we count on to kind of be there for us, when life gets difficult. And rather than her being a protection in his life, she's actually the agent of the destruction of his identity. Something in this man's life weakened him, or not, maybe not weakened, but robbed him of an identity that he would be willing to sit in front of a camera and be accused of being an unworthy human being. This is one of the most well-loved personalities in history right here. People love him. His movies are spectacular. His friendships have been so deep and committed and real. He is a well respected and well-loved man. And yet he lets some B actress who really has no type of real success at all completely emotionally rape him with a camera rolling. So there's some funny dynamics that are happening under the surface here. And I haven't lost sight of the fact that this is about him punching Chris Rock. But what if whatever control Jada Pinkett Smith is using, it still got him, it still hurt him. And maybe Chris Rock was just the first excuse he had to lash out. And that's really what he really wanted to do over the red table. What he delivered to Chris Rock was really meant for the woman that has publicly demolished him.
After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No.
He's even laughing like we could be so absurd to believe that sweet little Jada could ever do anything to harm him. But she can, Will. We saw it. We saw it because Jada wanted to put your business out on the red table. You may ask yourself, Will, why does Jada want the table to be red?
It's like, I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris. Jada had nothing to do with it.
You sure about that? Because you don't look like you believe that right there. That side shot, you don't look convincing. Your mirth, that kind of little laugh, kind of like, it's so ridiculous. I don't know why I'm listening. It's so ridiculous that you would ever think that Jada could make me do anything. Jada doesn't have the power to make me go up onto a stage and hit a guy, in the head. Okay, Will, but you sat at that table and let her, spill your proverbial emotional soul blood on her red table. You let her belittle and demean you and make a mockery of your marriage by saying, "Whoa, you guys just don't understand. Jada doesn't really believe in traditional marriage." And that's perfectly okay. She still loves me. She's still married to me. She just doesn't believe in traditional marriage. Okay, well, you're being gaslighted. Marriage means it. When you marry, you are becoming an entity. You are joining together your businesses. You're joining together your finances, your friendship, your love affair. You're agreeing to operate as a corporation, Will. And part of that is sexual fidelity. And why would that be important? Because sexual fidelity keeps you healthy. If you both agree that you're not going to be having sex with other people, then you're far less likely to bring a disease home to one another, or possibly even a child if someone gets pregnant while they have an STD. So, so you have adopted this manner of protecting Jada with sort of chuckles and laughs and acting like people are being so ridiculous to even think that she could be harmful and hurtful. And yet you sat at the table with tears rolling down your face while your wife demeaned you in a way that most people never ever experience, much less experience at the hands of their mate.
I'm sorry, babe. I'm gonna say sorry to my kids and my family for the heat that I brought on all of us. To all my fellow nominees, you know, this is a community. It's like I won because you voted for me, and it really breaks my heart to have stolen and tarnished your moment. I can still see Questlove's eyes. You know, it happened on Questlove's award, and you know,
It's so
it's like
sad, isn't it?
I'm sorry really isn't sufficient. What would you say to the people who looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down? So there's two things. One, disappointing people is my central trauma.
Okay.
I hate when I let people down.
Okay. So
So
disappointing people is his central trauma.
Hurt.
Disappointing people is his central trauma. It's his core. That is one of the things that sort of drives him, is to be dependable and to live up to his promises, find out what people want him to be, and then play that role, which would result in a man who is high in agreeableness, right? So is that why Jada Pinkett Smith has been able to get such control over Will, that his goal and his devotion to be ensured that he keeps his marriage, his family intact, to be a better father than his father was, an image that he cultivated of his co-star in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Is he playing this role, but he hasn't had the guidance for the insight to recognize, no, sometimes people do get divorced because they are being victimized. There's plenty of people that leave marriages because they're immature and they want to party, or they want to date, or whatever, they're alcoholics or whatever their thing is. There's plenty of people that choose to leave marriages for very bad reasons. But Will, sometimes you got to save yourself to save the rest of your family. Just staying in a relationship where you are being abused and mistreated and degraded and humiliated, sometimes that just sets up for intergenerational abuse. If your kids watch you stay in a marriage that's abusive and painful for you, and you just go ahead and stick it out, well, what happens when your child ends up in that same kind of marriage? They're much less likely to leave the marriage. They're much more likely to stick it out like you have and just be mistreated over and over and over. And we saw what happened to Johnny Depp, because he grew up with a dad who stayed through beatings and abuse. And Johnny Depp found himself in an abusive relationship, and he stayed way too long. He stayed long enough to let her grow cold and try to set him up, in my opinion. My opinion.
it hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me. And the work I'm trying to do is I am deeply remorseful, and I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself.
There
Right?
you go. There you go, right there. That's it. He's trying to be remorseful because he is, but here's the hard part: avoiding shame, avoiding self-loathing, avoiding further damage by embracing this idea I'm a piece of shit. You're not ever going to help anyone, much less yourself or your situation. You're not ever going to help anyone by becoming your own worst enemy. People that love themselves and they're proud of themselves, they tend to be better to others. When people hate themselves or they have no idea what their true identity is, or they feel sorry for themselves, feeling like they're a victim and the world has given them a raw deal, those people that are hurting, those are the people that will also hurt others, including their own kids or their pets or whatever. So I really liked this part of his apology video. I really, really, really liked it. That was sort of that moment where I wanted to put like a gold star on it and go, yeah, I believe his apology is authentic. I believe whatever it was they cut out, and they obviously edited it, but I am willing to say, regardless of whatever it was that they took out, that rings so true to me that he's working with someone, he's doing some soul searching, and he really is trying to get to that place of, I caused this harm. I also still want to be good for the people that are around me and good for myself. And I want to work to this place where I actually become a healer of the problems I've created and not be the last final victim of the problems that I've created. And that is admirable. There are some people, that might want the perpetrator to be in misery and be, experience complete destruction from all time. But in this particular situation, really, he's got a lot of influence over a lot of people. A lot of people look up to him, young people. If he can find that lesson, if he can find a way to make it right, and for God's sake, Will Smith, if you can accept and open up your exploration to include, have I really treated myself with respect, with myself being in the context of my marriage? Is this really something working for you as you are on this quest to be remorseful and also to provide forgiveness for yourself? I see people struggling all the time, trying to do better, whether it's trying to live a sober life or live an accountable life, be a strong father or a good husband. Same thing goes for wives and mothers. I see people really struggle. I want to be sober, but man, I've done some bad things. I hate myself. I'm awful. The more you beat yourself up, the worse you feel about yourself, the more likely you are to what? Crawl into a bottle. And so it becomes a fulfilling kind of perpetuated problem. We want remorse. We want apology. We want to make amends. We want authenticity in those apologies. But at the same time, you got to find understanding, and you've got to find a way to understand what led you to that point that you would hurt others, And once you uncover what led you to that point, what led you to the point that you're willing to walk up on a stage in front of the world and slap somebody you've known for decades, once you figure out what got you to that point, then you're committed to fix those factors. And if it means walking away from something that's unhealthy for you, so be it. That's part of making amends. It's to figure out what led you to that place to do this bad thing that would hurt another person. You have a responsibility to figure out those factors and then fix them. Do something about it. And remember what I said about Alfred Adler and the idea that we have our day-to-day authentic self and we have our ideal self, and we're always kind of striving to reach the ideal. The further away we are from our ideal self, the more unhealthy we are. As we move towards our ideal, we feel more in control. We get healthier and healthier. So that becomes the goal. And I'm just not sure that being humiliated time and time and time again, publicly, or in private, either one, but being ashamed and humiliated, I don't think that leads you to a place of strength. So, all right. So that's that. This is the video I wanted to make in response to Will Smith's apology video. We started this quite a while back, talking about the original slap and whatnot. So this feels like we've come full circle and there's a little bit of completion. We still have to wait on Chris Rock and ultimately see where he goes with this. So I appreciate everybody being here. And like I said, I've got another video that I'm going to be doing. And let me go ahead and put it into this one so it's all nice and clean. And I'll be back in a few minutes, okay? Thank y'all for being here. Bye.